everything about it was stellar. Just brilliant.
Good word.
The screenwriting, everything was just brilliant. Okay, so first question, why? Why did you want to do this? What was your passion behind the theory of everything?
It started way back. We have to time travel back to 1988 when I first read Stephen's book, Brief History of Time. And I was taken by his ideas, that sleeping part of my mind that should have been asking the big questions, you know, which never does, you know, never seems to get out of bed. Suddenly was awoken by this book and was like, gee, you know, how did the universe begin? What is the nature of time? You know, why are we here? And so I was completely in awe of the concepts and principles he was expounding. Then there was the guy himself, you know, who was breaking all this intergalactic news from a wheelchair through a computer, speaking his thoughts. And I thought, just someone's going to make an incredible movie about him one day, never thinking I would have a function in there. But then go forward to 2004, and then I was reading Jane Hawking's autobiography, and I saw a very sympathetic access point into the Hawking story, which was totally unexpected. I didn't expect to find in that book what I did, but it was a one-of-a-kind love story, very emotional, with really surprising, unprecedented elements to it. And I thought, if I can take those incredibly you know, unusual aspects on the emotional front and marry those with the incredible character of Stephen and the science, to combine all those, we would really have a terrific movie going.
I think you've done that brilliantly. Seriously. Some people that I've spoken to have said, oh, well, they didn't tap too much into the science, but you know what? I think you did an amazing job at that, because is it true that you felt that this movie wasn't about the science, it was about his life? Was that kind of the goal here?
No, it wasn't actually. I would argue with that.
Okay.
Shall I argue with you about that? It was always a three-threaded narrative, and it was always going to honor the science, and I do honor the science. I'm not heavy-handed with the science, and I decided early on that I wouldn't have physicists explain physics.
Right.
You can Google that.
Right.
What I wanted was to find entertaining cinematic ways for lay people like ourselves to say, well, what's Stephen working on? And someone to struggle with that. It's our real struggle to comprehend these really complex ideas, and say, well, it's a bit like this, and to get a pea and a potato off the table and do their best to explain it in layman's terms. That's not only the position we're all in, but it's actually cinematic and entertaining to watch a normal person struggle to explain those. And I honor all his real big achievements and explain them, or at least try to explain them in the movie.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You did. Two questions then. With the process of getting the approval to do this with Jane, and the last question would be college students. What kind of advice would you give a college student who's wanting to get into this type of business, this type of, you know, what you've done, what you've accomplished? So if we can start first with Jane and then go from there. What was the whole process of getting the approval to do the book?
It was a trust-building exercise. It's delicate emotional terrain. There's family members to consider, so there was a lot of sensitivities out there, and it was something that just couldn't be done quickly. People had to grow into it. Jane had to grow into it. The children had to grow into the idea. It was not a story that had to be done today. And it was gently took our time and suddenly, you know, we brought everybody on board, which is, and the great fortune for me is that Eddie Redmayne and Felicity Jones matured to a point where they were right and ready for this role. We couldn't have had them 10 years ago. So my feeling is, I'm glad we waited 10 years.
Yeah, and college students, real quick.
Yeah, I was talking to some NYU film students the other day, and one of them was saying, you know, how do you get in? It's like that pressing when you're a young person trying to get into an industry like this. And I said, well, you know, in my experience, sometimes you just have to impose yourself on history, and in a way, that's what I did with this. You got to take a chance. You got to do something which is almost outside your comfort zone. And getting on a train and going and visiting Jane Hawking one autumn day in 2004 was a transition point for me. Would have been very easy not to get on that train,
Right.
you know. But get on the train, kids.
2 years.
I want us to be together for as long as we've got.
It'll affect everything. You don't realize what lies ahead. This is going to be a very heavy defeat.
But I love him. And he loves me. We're going to fight this illness together. Good luck.
Why?
I'm okay.
So, this black hole at the beginning of time. Brilliant. Brilliant, Stephen. Well done, Doctor.
He has pneumonia. The only way he will survive will be to give him a tracheotomy. He will never speak again.
Yes, he will.
My name is Stephen Hawking.
It's American.
Is that a problem?
It has been a great joy to watch this man defy every expectation, both scientific and personal.
There should be no boundary to human endeavor. However bad life may seem, while there is life, there is hope.
Thank you.
Sorry, did you say something?
I said, thank you.